Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us here today at Panic at the Podcast.
Panic at the Podcast.
Nice radio voice.
Ooh, oh, wow. So today we're going to touch on the updated lore that's happened in Ixalan, in addition to some analytics as far as the metas are concerned.
I think we should do a little, follow up on what's changed since the last podcast. And
prices?
Some prices have fluctuated.
Oh, yes.
So
some have gone up, some have gone down, some have been the bane of your existence when you try to sell them at various card stores that will remain anonymous.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Anonymous Card Shop offered me $8 for $30 worth of cards. They are like $5 for a hostage tracker. Come on, man.
Oh yeah, we'll go ahead and touch on the prices and spikes for standard related, very important key cards later on in the podcast. But first, we're going to open up with touching base on the lore. There's 3 new stories that have come out since the previous podcast. First of which opens up, this chronologically is actually going to take place before either of the previous stories in the beginning.
Can you remind me what happened in the last
quick summary.
A very quick summary. The very first one, Jace has recently gotten destroyed by Nicobolus. Mentally, he's shattered, doesn't remember who he is. We end with him being picked up by Vraska and Vraska's crew. So that is how the first tale ended, and basically he managed to survive.
Okay.
And
this is a follow-up on his storyline, not Huatli's?
Huatli, essentially the warrior poet, her spark ignited when she faced off against a fiery Minotaur planeswalker, and she is now on a destined journey to find the lost city of Okaza.
Okaza.
But to pick up with, this is actually like the prequel to Jace's storyline. Nicobolus invites Vraska to his meditation plane while she is in Ravnica. Ravnica, of course, being the city of guilds. As many people who have been playing Magic throughout history, if you haven't and you're pretty new to the Magic universe, Ravnica is a city of guilds, which are made up by 2 mana colors per. We got the Orzhov, Boros, Legion, Golgari, Swarm. What's the blue and white one? The Oz, or however it.
I don't.
Anyway, that's not important. She was in Ravnica. She was in Ravnica, and she received a very nice, well-written invitation from Nicobolus to join him in the meditation plane, which is a world that he made just to relax.
That seems sketchy.
Well, she took it. She learned the spell by looking at the page, which was imbued with magic, and just shows up at the meditation plane, which has water that's several inches deep across the entire plane of existence, and purple lightning that's just crackling all around.
So peaceful.
It's very cool, very neat.
That is pretty cool, actually.
He reads her mind, Nicobolus, as soon as he comes up in there, and understands that she wants to lead the Gorgons and the Golgari to a better life, because the Golgari is made of the rejected people of Ravnica that have kind of been cast out, and they descend to the... it's like the sewer system, essentially, is where
they're like swampy people.
Yes, their position is to like recycle and deal with like all the refuse of the other
make asshole commander decks.
That they do. You specifically made one, Tech. So essentially, the master. She wants to be the master of the Golgari, and Nicobolus says, "I'll give you an army so that you will rule over the guilds and not be opposed, so long as you take this job." And Vraska has a little bit of background. She's been an assassin basically her entire life.
Yeah.
Planeswalking and just murdering people that deserve it for a nice fee. So hearing that this specific job Nicobolus has her on is not going to involve any bloodshed whatsoever directly associated with it, it's assumed that essentially all she has to do is take this magical compass that will lead her to a specific city, Orzhov, which is the city of gold that has the eternal sun that Nicobolus wants. And as soon as she gets there, she needs to essentially contact Nicobolus's associate and get him there to sort of take the object and get it to Nicobolus.
He has a secretary?
Yeah.
Oh, sir, Joffrey, can you please give me the eternal sun?
It's probably Tezzeret, if we're being honest.
Damn it, Donna!
I think it's Tezzeret, you silly boy, you didn't get to me the machines, and get to me the machines. She accepts, and she's thinking to herself, man, if this goes south, I'm just going to double cross him. I'm going to betray Nicobolus and wash
I
my hands
would.
of this. And Nicobolus just looks at her and says, "No, you can't. You can't betray me." And she's like, "Whoa, get out of me." And basically, he then gives her the compass and the knowledge of the spell to summon the associate in the Golden City, which has her really frazzled because literally he just penetrated her mind and gave her that sweet knowledge goo. So basically, he gave her all the knowledge to sail, which literally almost shatters her mind. And she's like, imagine, like, tying all the knots, all the nautical words, how to set sails and read the wind and everything like that.
So he just made her instantly a pirate?
Yes. And, like, he even comments, he's like, I had this knowledge, but because I had wings, I really didn't have a whole lot of use to it. I hope you get a little bit more use out of this than I did. And it's like, she asks him, like, why would you need to know this? It's like, being an eternal dragon gets boring sometimes. It's like, okay.
So I can just see him just
Nicol Bolas just being relatable and kind of funny for
in
a
his
second.
studio, just like, what do I want to learn today?
I'm just going to learn about this knot. So, essentially, she eventually siphons through all of it and gets back on her feet. And it jumps to Vraska as the captain of the ship Belligerent. Belligerent's the name of her little boat. Her mat. It's actually
Belligerent's what's...
Belligerent is what it is.
Belligerent's going to be my name later on.
Oh, whoa, he's totally going to get dollar margaritas at the Applebee's.
Not a sponsor, could
Not
be
a sponsor, please sponsor us. The compass points south, but strangely away from the continent of Ixalan. So Vraska is a loved captain, and her crew have a very strong and trusting relationship. It sort of spells this out with her navigator, who's a siren, and her quartermaster, who both really respect her and care for her. So it cuts to essentially there by the island that Jace was near, and the compass was leading them that way. So she sees Jace and panics because she believes that Jace is there after her, trying to foil her plans, kind of like what he did back on Ravnica, because she wanted to puppet all the other guilds. But Jace wasn't about that, being the very strict, very stoic guild pact. So essentially, Vraska knows that something's immediately wrong. He's emaciated, he's really sunburnt, and has a rough beard and everything. He's just all out of sorts and near death. Honestly, he's just so dehydrated that he's probably going to die. So she sees him like this, and she can't just leave him. She takes him aboard, gets him fed, and gets him fresh water. And they bicker back and forth. Jace is way more chipper and easier going, so Vraska thinks this is some sort of elaborate ruse and that this is all an act. Vraska eventually accepts that Jace has lost his memory, and she recounts their interactions before he lost his memory while they're drinking tea. She makes a very nice pot of tea, and it's like, wow, Vraska, from what I read in the previous lore, doesn't seem like a very nice person. She was just kind of like a cold-blooded assassin. But given the chance to lead, she's doing a really good job and really flourishing as a character. So she's recounting essentially her life, at least a little portion of it. And the Azorius, which is the white and blue guild we couldn't remember, falsely imprisoned her and nearly beat her to death and ran a corrupt system. Jace really empathizes with her and shows her an illusion of where he awoke, and essentially summarize the entire first story where he was on the island and all that happened. So he spent days aboard the ship wandering and disassembled and reassembled a telescope to fix it. And the crew was really impressed. Everyone's like, wow, this is a really smart guy. Vraska asked if he'd fix hers, and he says, of course, and gives her a pat on the back. And the quartermaster yelled at him. Everyone's like really up in arms because no one's allowed to touch Vraska. No one's allowed to touch the captain. It was because of something that happened to Vraska when she was in prison that she doesn't allow anyone to touch her, but she forgives him. And then they see a Legion of the Dusk vessel. Vraska recounts a previous interaction where the Legion of Dusk killed 4 of her men.
What's the Legion of Dusk?
The vampire people.
Oh, yes,
the vampire conquistadors.
Oh, they're not little bitch in this story.
Yes.
Yes, and they're essentially seeking the eternal sun that was stolen from them, so that they don't need blood to live forever. They're basically just eternal with no drawbacks, which is pretty OP. So they opt to attack the Legion ship and take their supplies because they're running pretty low on supplies at this point, and they're basically going to have to stop anyway and get supplies. And this way they don't have to spend as much money, so they can kind of have a better time. So Vraska has Jace camouflage the ship and they do a stealthy approach. They don't even talk or anything. Vraska has flags, and she directs people what to do with these flags, which is pretty intense. So Jace uses illusions to help Vraska take down the captain of the ship, who almost bites Jace on the neck and kills him. But Vraska manages to petrify the vampire before he basically munches on Jace, makes him a little guild snack, as opposed to the guild pack. See what I did?
Vampire Jace be sweet.
Oh, whoa. Vraska asks Jace to join her crew, basically blown away by like his change of character. He's usually really strict, not approachable. This, after his memory's basically been scrapped for the second time in his life as a magic character. He's just way more approachable, really nice.
So he was a giant asshole beforehand?
Oh, yeah. He's literally like just a boring, terrible person that's really by the book and
so what you're
broke people's minds. He killed Jace has killed a lot of people back when he worked for Nicol Bolas.
Oh, yeah.
That was a different time.
Wait, Jimmy. So what you're saying is he once was a Taft Diggs and is now a Jimmy Raleigh.
Oh, thank you.
I don't melt people's mind.
Oh,
that's what
I'm
you
just
think,
a nice
folks.
boy.
That's what you think.
And so Jace happily agrees. He's like, absolutely. You seem like a really great leader, and I'd be happy to be with your little bit of tomfoolery that you got going on. So that was the third story in the Ixalan anthology. So the next one, I'm warning you right now. These names and these concepts, it's like written in a sort of tribal sort of fashion. It's focused around the merfolk of Ixalan and a lot of their background. It's a bit shorter, but it's still pretty neat. So this opens up with the Merfolk Kopala, which you might identify as the card that grants your Merfolk pseudo-hexproof, reflecting days before the Sun Empire, vampires, etc. sort of ran Ixalan. So he and other merfolk are referred to as shapers, at least the hierarchy of merfolk in this multiverse are referred to as shapers. Interestingly enough, as opposed to how merfolk are on other planes, these are more attuned with all of nature as opposed to just water, so they can actually communicate with it and bend plants and water to their will.
They control the grass.
So they're a water bender and an earth bender?
And wind. They sort of have all the powers of all the elements. At least the shapers do, which are chosen. There's 9 total shapers. One for each tributary of the great river that runs throughout Ixalan.
How many were printed?
2.
There's 2?
Yeah, only 2 so far.
We'll
touch on that.
Is there like some main shapeshifter that kind of controls
one main shifter, you mean?
That really controls and
She's a
harnesses
mythic
all
in
elements?
Ixalan. She's an Ixalan. They all have the same power, sort of. They just have
I'm just trying to relate it to something
Yeah, sure,
else.
I don't care. Avatar was a good anime and a terrible live-action movie by M. Night Shyamalan. Rock! So, essentially, they care for the world, make sure that no one gets to Orazka, which is a very sacred place that they were taught to defend. So essentially, each of these tributaries, the 9 tributaries, has a clan and a name associated with the tributary, and the shaper, his or herself, are given the same name as the tributary that they're the shaper over. So it gets kind of confusing when you're talking about the Kopala tributary and Kopala, the merfolk, in the same sentence, and I had to deal with that a lot. Mm-hmm. So I extracted the very most important details. Basically, Kopala is meditating in the Primal Wellspring, which is a flip side of the Primal Amulet card. And Tishana is his mentor. Tishana, the voice of thunder, the mythic that was in the set. She's sort of the head of all of them. Essentially, she tutors the other shapers and gets them more attuned with their role and helps them communicate with their tributary a little bit more. So he notes that he feels all of nature, including the beating heart of Ixalan, which lies in Orazka. The otherworldly beating skips a beat, which makes him break from his trance. And Tishana says that it was due to something like a dolphin attempting to breach the surface of the water but failing. Which makes me think, doesn't that sound like a planeswalker trying to planeswalk and not being able to? So we're going to get back to that in a little bit. There's a very unique thing about the power of the heart that is related to planeswalkers. It's really neat. We'll get to that later. So essentially, Tishana quotes that it's like a dolphin, which apparently Ixalan has dolphins. predicting an Ixalan Dolphin card in the next couple sets. You heard it here first. So,
Yeah, 2-drop menace, death touch.
oh, wow. Totally blew
It also has haste.
So Kumana is a shaper of the most harsh tributary. He's a different merfolk which comes into play. Essentially, he approaches the two others. He approaches Tishana and Kopala. And Kumena is basically like, I captured this sun, this Empire of the Sun soldier, killed the rest of his men and their dinosaurs, and just took him. I basically got all the information I could out of him, and I want him to tell you.
Wait, Trishana's a dude?
No. Tishana is a female. She's an older woman merfolk.
Oh, okay.
Kopala is a man, and Kumena is a man.
Because I'm just thinking like all these names are confusing me because usually when they end with like
You don't say.
they'd be like a female, like kind of how Vana is a guy, but doesn't sound like it.
I read it. I know it was not the easiest read out of all these stories.
So
So
I'm glad you did it for me, Jimmy.
I try really
Thanks.
hard. So he basically lets them know there's the captured Empire of the Sun guy lets them know that there's two captains of the ship, of different ships that are trying to find Orazka, and they're very close to finding it. One being Captain Varaska, which we can assume, and the other one being Anagroth, the fiery Minotaur planeswalker. And they have spies that are seeking Orazka as well. And Varaska, he points out she has a compass that guides her. It's a plot implied, like I said, that Kumena killed all of the captured men's group, and then he also refers to Huatli's vision and states that above all, Huatli is going to be the destined one that goes to Orazka and enters the city walls. So Kumena demands that they find the city first. The merfolk take it for themselves. And Tishana states that their only purpose is to protect the city and not allow anyone, including themselves, to enter and get the prize there. Kumena demands that they go and take it for themselves, but Tishana reminds him that the Guardian entrusted them to keep the city hidden above all else, and even from themselves. Kopala then sides with Tishana, and Kumena drowns the man. The one survivor of the Sun Empire, he's just like, yeah, I'm done with this guy. Drops him. So they sense another fleet of ships that's approaching Ixalan, and basically they need to deal with it. Kumena goes first, and he sort of like makes this cage of vines and wind and sinks under the water and just races off in it, which is pretty neat. And Tishana believes that Kumena will go after the other people that are seeking Orazka before he goes after it himself. So she follows after Kumena, who is en route to the intruders, and leaves Kopala to watch over their people. Tishana's power quiets the storm that Kumena has basically conjured and crashed all these ships upon the rocks. And then while she's doing that, Kumena sneaks up on Tishana and knocks her out with a solid punch to the dome piece. So that happens. So on to the next story. We're going to go ahead and get back to Jace and Vraska. They're chilling, relaxing, all cool. They're not shooting any b-ball on the ship because it's not large enough to support a basketball court. But anyway, so Jace has the unfortunate ability of hearing people's thoughts, but not being able to control whose thoughts he's listening to.
Oh, God.
So it's like a cavalcade of everyone's like thoughts and what they're going through, like in his ears at all times. So he busies himself on the ship, trying to learn how to do everything, maintaining sales, cooking, etc., etc. So they landed at the High and Dry eventually, which is where they were going to get some supplies, but they raided the vampire ship. So they're basically all going to drop off at this High and Dry, which is in the middle of the ocean. It's this city made out of like ship wreckages. So it's just a whole bunch of wrecked ships that were turned into a city, and it's pretty awesome stuff.
Located in the Bermuda Triangle?
It's located in Venice. It's modeled off after Venice. It's just a floating city. But essentially, since they've already gotten what they really needed that was going to be expensive from the Legion of the Dusk and all those vampire hooligans, they decide that they're going to, cut loose from the noose and have a good time at High and Dry. So, like I said, it's made out of the ship wreckages and has like planks running throughout as streets. And essentially, Jace is invited by Amelia, the quartermaster of the ship, the left-hand woman of Vraska, and breaches the goblin to go for ale and cards at a tavern. But Vraska and Malcolm, Malcolm is Vraska's right-hand man, who's a siren navigator, want to speak with him at another bar. And once they get to the bar, Vraska explains that a patron from overseas, Lord Nicholas, gave them the compass to find the immortal son of Vraska. Yeah, Lord Nicholas is not suspicious at all.
Just get triggered. Like, oh my god!
That guy that broke me!
That's kind of close.
But yeah.
I'm triggered.
It was once held in the monasteries of what would become the Legion of the Dusk. And then the immortal son was stolen by pirates, but then a winged being stole it from the pirates.
Winged Dragon of Ra!
Oh no, that boy is a foolish man. He's a ball, and then he becomes a super rooster. But this is probably Ugin. I'm thinking the winged entity they're referring to is Ugin, because Ugin tries to maintain balance in the multiverse, and Nicol Bolas is just like, God, just make me God again, please. So it seems like something he would do, but then stole it and took it west to Ixalan, to around the area of Ixalan. So that's where the immortal son is supposed to reside. So what Vraska and the rest of the crew really want to know is if Jace can discover how the compass works, since he's like one of the most brilliant minds in the entire multiverse. Because they really don't understand it. It's got like 6 different pointers going into different directions, and there's lights that flicker every now and again. So Vraska and Jace leave the bar, and Malcolm kind of stays, and he's drinking and having a good time. So
I'm Malcolm.
Jace is trying to like piece things together. He knows he can hear voices, and he knows Vraska knew him for a while. And so he asks Vraska, can I read minds? And she says, yeah, you can read minds, just don't get inside my mind, please. And he's like, okay, and so he kind of focuses. Now that he's got confirmation he can read minds, he focuses enough to where he can like silence it. And to him, minds are like a delicate sort of like cobweb that is like really intricate and really complicated, but it's so delicate that he could, as a mind mage, like just do something nonchalantly and just break someone mentally. So
What?
Mind Crush.
they have a fun conversation about Ravnica and the city that they sort of met and came from, and Vraska talks about Jace being sort of like a politician, and Jace tries to remember and pieces together an illusion of the city, and Vraska sort of like, her face kind of clenches and tears up because she's really homesick, and Jace is like kind of blushing a little bit, and he's like, oh, I think she's beautiful. So they go back to the ship and talk, and Vraska asks what it's like to be a telepath, and Jace loved being an illusionist, and he loves being able to make all of his dreams come true, sort of like, and be able to reflect whatever he's thinking about, but he hates like his mental powers, and goes into the explanation that people's minds are cobwebs, and at any moment, if he's not focusing, he's just a goddamn sledgehammer, and he can just destroy their minds, which he thinks is a fate worse than death, or can equate to death if he's
That would be terrible.
not holding everything back. Yeah, exactly. So he asks if Vraska knew how many minds he had broken, and she asked him if he would be able to redeem himself if he knew how many. And they sort of like go back and forth talking, and they parallel each other because Jace used to break minds to sort of like make really vile criminals like basically lobotomized to where they're not a threat anymore.
What?
And he would like do different things for Nicol Bolas when he was an agent of Bolas. And Vraska would assassinate people that were corrupt and take sort of like assassination contracts from different people that wanted other people dead. So Jace says that he supposes that to live is to adapt, and ultimately we choose who we are regardless of how we adapted. So basically at any point you can just decide to go one direction. Even if you've messed up in the past, you can sort of like make everything better for everyone else, and you'll be remembered for the last things you did as opposed to like what happened years and years ago.
True.
So Jace thinks his past is not important, and the future will make him who he will be ultimately, and what he'll be remembered for. And Vraska says that she wishes she could forget what happened to her in the past, just like Jace did. And Jace asks what specifically she wants to forget, and she just says prisons, just generically. So they go to below deck to the gallery, and Jace makes Vraska some tea. And Vraska explains that Ravnica is a very far away place that the crew could never have heard of and can never reach. And Vraska recalls the different guild positions and how the Golgari were all of the cities rejected. And when she was very young, the Azorius put out an arrest order for all of the Golgari. And Vraska was captured. She was assumed to be part of that guild just because she was a Gorgon. And they were all starved and lived in desperate conditions. And they would cycle through this vicious sort of multiple-step thing at every prison where there would be a riot, they would all be beaten, and then they'd all be moved to another prison. So that kept happening, and they eventually put a blindfold on Vraska, and she was sort of secluded, and she was essentially just put away from everyone else because as a Gorgon, she can just look at someone and turn them into stone if she wanted to. So they tortured her for months and years on end while blindfolded, and then eventually the blindfold was taken off, and her first impulse was to petrify herself to like get her out of this pain because she'd been suffering so much.
Wait, how could she do that?
Petrify herself, like look into the water, because the prison she was in had like about 2-3 inches of water, and I guess she could look at her reflection in the water.
And then that's how.
And but yeah, she'd been beaten, and since it was like sort of like really unsanitary, and the prison was kind of like flooded, all of her wounds would be infected and everything like that, and life was basically just agony. And then one night, she was beaten nearly to death and planeswalked to another place. She doesn't describe the other place a whole lot, but she does say that she was trapped there with her memories of abuse for multiple years while her body recovered. And she came back and planeswalked back to Ravnica with a new perception on life and believed that each person should die the death they deserve. So she doesn't kill to kill, even though her power lies in death, since she's been like black mana is like one of the main mana colors that she draws her energy from.
Yeah.
So she only kills for the good of others. And Vraska tells Jace that Bolas promised that he would make her a great leader, and he opens up about Nicol Bolas and all that. And Jace thinks that Vraska would make a great leader, and that she deserves to be given that army to rule over Ravnica. So Jace tells Vraska that her greatest vengeance upon her captors was not just living, but to reforge herself into something greater than her captors, the Azorius, could ever imagine. So they are proud to know each other, and they realize that they have this moment where they're looking at each other as two great people that have been through a lot, and they realize they're both very powerful. She could use her Gorgon powers to kill him, and he could use his Mind Mage powers to just break her, but they have no desire to do that. They're two people that are truly like on the same level and see each other as companions. So weeks pass, and they approach Ixalan even closer. They leave that little floating city, and Jace takes the compass apart and reassembles it under the deck. He realizes that it's tracking planeswalker magic. It points to him specifically right after he tests it. He tries to planeswalk, but he can't because Ixalan doesn't allow you to. And the largest source of that planeswalker energy is right off the shore of Ixalan. So the same energy that's used for planeswalking is what the Immortal Sun is made up of. So there's something to that effect, and it points to other planeswalkers as well. And initially, Nicol Bolas probably gave this to Vraska, thinking it's just going to be her. She'll be the only planeswalker on Ixalan. It's going to be one arrow that points towards the sun, and then obviously it's going to be an arrow pointing towards her, so she won't have any problems navigating. But as we know right now on Ixalan, there's 4 or 5 planeswalkers, which is why Vraska couldn't really read the compass. But after Jace reconfigured it, the main arrow is pointing towards where the highest concentration of energy is, which is the Immortal Sun. So he goes up to the front deck or top deck to talk to Vraska. But at this point, I don't know if you guys, from the last story, what we talked with, the merfolk and all them,
Merfolk.
and the ships being smashed upon the rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was their ship. So Vraska's like, what's going on? And the ocean's like picking up their ship, and they're like, oh, Jesus Christ, please.
This is like a nightmare.
And Jason's like, I found it! And then smack!
Got it!
Hit the rocks. So that's where the story ends. They get smashed upon the rocks.
Oh, great.
Oh, damn.
It was really good. Like, literally, Vraska
like
and
it.
Jace were so... Oh, they're the best of friends.
They're
Made me
All the
feel.
planeswalkers
Why don't they
are
just get
happening.
married already?
What if they just think
No.
like they just follow the compass and it just leads to the Minotaur dude? Just go, I'm the most powerful planeswalker.
I was beaten by a little boy and a little girl and the raptor in the first story, but the second story, but don't ignore it.
But yeah, forget everything.
Look, all beat up. Oh, I've been having a terrible time. Some Indian girl with a freaking raptor attacked me.
Oh,
That was
golly.
the worst thing
So
ever.
I've got a theory. What if the Eternal Sun is a portion of the power that was taken from all the planeswalkers after the mending that Urza did?
So
And it was like all that energy had to go somewhere that the original planeswalkers had. So
Yeah.
what if it was congealed into one like massive thing of energy? And Ugin, who I believe worked with Urza at some point, was like, we need to get this as far away from like
and
evil.
Urza's dead.
I'm pretty sure Urza's dead, yeah.
You're pretty sure you're.
Like 85% sure.
Well, if he's not dead, what if Urza took all that energy and then the thing's pointing to him because he's a planeswalker now, and we just get Urza?
Well, Urza's a good guy, so I guess I'd trust him.
Be
But,
cool.
Yep. I don't know. I'm pretty excited to see what happens with the next lore.
What if
We
the
haven't
Immortal
heard
Sun
from
itself
Quatley.
is just a planeswalker? That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Just like some dude just like meditating. just
It'd
like,
be, no, it's like an elemental.
oh, that'd be
it's
pretty
sentient,
cool.
yeah.
Like Karn, except as opposed to being
Like
like
I don't know.
a sentient like artifact, it'd be like a sentient enchantment or force of nature. Or
Yeah, it'd be
something.
something. That'd be really cool, actually.
All right, well, that was the story. It was pretty cool, I think. So let's go ahead and talk about what's hot in standard tactics. What do you think?
All right. Well, from what it looks like, it's according to our sources, which is MTG Goldfish. We're going off.
Is it Merfolk?
Huh? Well, actually, no. The meta, not Merfolk. Yeah, apparently a lot of the decks that we built for this after Ixalan
For this
came
standard season, I guess is it a standard season because each season has a new set in it, and then after it rotates, it's a new season. So
Yeah.
it's like
Well, this one, I mean, this list I got here has all. I don't think has any of the Innistrad or.
yeah, it shouldn't
Yeah,
because
no,
those
no.
rotate.
But yeah,
out.
coming at like 25% of the meta, it's Ramanat Red.
Oh.
Rub-a-dub-dub.
It's been
Red
very
aggro.
Mono red aggro. It's been very popular.
Jesus, you don't
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, coming pretty much the main fighters here: Earthshaker Kenra and what was that? Soulscar Mage.
I wonder if that raptor from Ixalan is going to be moved in there. The 3-drop that prevents people from gaining life.
He's definitely going to be a sideboard. I think eventually.
Yeah, if there's a life gain strategy. I mean, for a 3-drop, he's not bad. He's not a bad boy.
Well, I mean, the sideboarding, I like it a lot because they throw a higher end cards like Sean. They got 3 Chandras sideboarded.
Jesus, are you freaking... So that's
$160
$120?
$116. So they got 4 Glorybringers.
How much alcohol could I buy?
Glorybringer's very nice though. I mean, of course, if you have haste and you
Where's
exert
Glorybringer at right now? Is it still like $7-8?
Glorybringers, yeah, it's around $7.
$7.
He's very useful. I mean, you can throw him on the field and exert him right away, and he can deal damage to kill a creature
Yeah,
and
kill a
do
target.
flying damage.
Yep.
But other than that, there isn't really any new Ixalan cards added to this deck.
No dinosaur decks went ham? None of them?
Let's see. Dinosaur. Well, actually, coming at 3.5% of the meta, we got Esper's Gift, which runs...
No. Gift of the...
this one runs Hostage Taker as a main card. Yeah, and then it's also Walking Ballista, of course.
Oh my god.
I'm assuming...
That card.
Yeah, and then Fatal
A bunch
Pushes,
of.
Gate to the Afterlife, and Godfarer's Gift. It's a very interesting deck because it feels like it can go multiple ways to win.
People
I like it a
predicted
lot.
that Godfarer's Gift and Gate to the Afterlife becoming really good, so I guess
It
it's-
is. There's that whole combo with the Champion of Wits. It's the
Go on.
Naga Wizard.
Tell me more.
Oh yeah, you get
when
to
it enters the
discard.
battlefield, you draw cards equal to its power. If
And
you
then
do,
yeah.
discard 2 cards,
I've got 4 of those.
and
What
it can
if
be
we,
eternalized too.
Ooh, I might do that.
Yeah, and then you can combo that off using that and just keep milling yourself and then keep throwing zombies out, which is really nice, and getting their effects to come back in. Like with Hostage Taker, that'd be one of the things you
Eternalize the Hostage.
But of course, that's $70 for a playset. So
of what?
Hostage Taker.
Oh my god, I've got 2.
Yeah, you do got 2. The another cool creature this thing runs is Vana, Butcher of Mogin.
Oh,
I think that's interesting.
Yeah, so it's
sure
Esper, so it's black, blue, and white.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand why it's. I think it's just a cool life link, and then I guess it's a kill spell, and then you can throw it back out there. I don't even think it's meant to be paid for the full mana cost. I think they wanted to use the other ability.
Oh, they want you to discard it and then bring it back.
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Also, Charter Course, that's also been a really good card so far because it's a nice draw spell, and if you're doing damage, which most decks will be doing.
Well, we're going to try to stir up the meta and maybe brew some unique decks that make people go, what of God's name are these boys thinking? They're fools.
Fools, I tell you!
So you've got a red and green, potentially red, green, and white Naya Dinosaurs deck brewing.
Well, the thing was that they had a dinosaur deck on here as part, like a very small portion, like 1-2% of the meta.
Yeah.
And most decks that we've seen from like the Mana Source and a few other places that they run red, green, and white. Well, the thing about that is when you take away the white, you're taking away control, but then again, you're adding aggro with just the red and the green. But I think it's really cool because they took all the white out, of course, but then they got red and green, so they're running Samut, the Planeswalker version. That's giving things double strike, which is great.
Yeah, Samut.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what that
means. But there's a couple cards that people like are overlooking that when you splash white that I think are really useful. I mean, obviously there's that mana ramp, but she's almost not necessary because if you've run 4 the champion, there's a champion card that you can tap for any color, and then you got
the one that gives haste.
Huntsman or whatever. Yeah, he lowers it by 1. That's 8. That's already 8 creatures dedicated for just mana alone. I wouldn't even do many more.
Oh wow.
But
that's a lot.
That's a lot of acceleration.
I got 3 white cards that would be great that are underestimated. I mean, Kanjali Sunwing, it's a 3-drop flyer that your opponent's creatures enter tapped. Slows them. I mean, that can kill somebody right away. Just
what about
by slowing them,
Authority
puts you a
of
turn
the
ahead.
Consoles? What if you put Authority of the Consoles in there?
Yeah, Authority of the Consoles will do good, but the whole thing is you would want a dinosaur because that also triggers off another. You can use Savage Stomp with this card for paying for 1, or you could. So I mean, first of all, it's flying. You're getting flying defense also, and then I mean, yes, it can be killed by removal, but anything can.
Yeah.
I mean, and I guess low drop enchantments are still volatile, but there's Here's a card that I haven't even seen in any of the deck builds that I like. It's called Imperial Aerosaur. It has flying. It's a 4-drop. When Imperial Aerosaur enters the battlefield, another target creature you control gets 1/1 and gains flying until the end of the turn. So you get a pump, and then you get a little bit of combat freedom, I would say, because I actually was testing it, running it, and it actually did really well because you if you have a slow start with the ground game, and there's nothing really to get that defense out of the way, and if there hasn't been too much flying so far from what I've seen, so it's really nice to have a dinosaur, like a big dinosaur on the ground. Say you have a Registar Alpha, and it's just sitting there on the ground. You really don't want to attack with it because it can get double blocked and get killed, and you don't want that. So you can pay, probably 2 or 3 for this 4-drop because you're most likely going to have ramp anyway. You get up, you throw it onto the battlefield. You can give it a 1/1 to Registar. Registar gives it haste, so you got a 5/5 flyer and a 3/3 flyer that can attack him right away.
Yeah.
So the only damage there, which is great. And then also, if you're running into control and you're having issues, or if you're playing another aggro deck, Priest of the Waking Sun's great for the whole reason that you can just gain 2 life every turn. Because I mean, it just says reveal a dinosaur. I mean, you're usually sitting on one. This is what I've seen because
it's a 1-drop. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, you want to be aware of board wipes and everything too. And she's also kind of nice if you have 2 white mana, or 3 and then 2, you can look for a dinosaur, aka Carnage Tyrant. But other than that, I mean, I can see the advantages of running just red and green. I'm gonna try it and see what happens. But yeah,
we'll play test. I've been brewing a Simic Merfolk Tempo deck. So the main the main board basically runs it's going to be a full playset ultimately of a Deep Root Champion, and then you run Spell Pierce, Blossoming Defense, and other cards to keep your main dudes alive. And Just try to get in with unblockable because of the 4-drop Merfolk that gives creatures with +1/+1 counters unblockable. So that's the major win condition. And then if you're up against a control deck, you can go ahead and sideboard in some extra creatures, sideboard out a lot of your spell pierces and things like that. Bring in some Growing Rites of Itmalok so you can ramp up and get some big dudes out. Run Deep Root Wild Waters, which initially, like when I was working with this deck, I wanted to just run wide with tokens, but that's really vulnerable to removal, and you have to be pretty situational for that. But Deep Root Waters, I mean, having hexproof tokens is pretty nice. I like it a lot.
Definitely.
Yep.
I like how red-green energy is still part of the meta.
Yeah.
Well, it's in standard, but it's still kind of... It's funny because they made a card that just makes it the bane of anything's existence.
Enter the battlefield effects.
Yeah, the end battlefield effects just don't trigger, and I can see anybody running any type of white can be sideboarding that card.
Yeah.
I would sideboard a playset if I knew I'd be going against energy eventually. Because it's only a 2-drop, ain't that much of a risk. But other than that, it doesn't seem like many people have implemented a bunch of Ixalan cards yet, but the price has been going up on a few of them.
Yeah.
That I forget what the name is. That's the blue dual land. Or not dual land.
Blue and black one?
Blue. No, it's the blue, but it flips to a land.
Oh, yeah,
it's
the
search for-
enchantment. Search for
Oteza.
Escanta.
Escanta?
Yeah, search for Escanta.
That's what it
I'm
looks
looking
like
right
it
at
means.
it. I'm
Yeah.
staring
Looking
at it
right
right
at
now as we speak.
Oh, yeah. Search for Escanta.
As Taco.
Yeah, it's
His
totally a
top.
2-drop, and at the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You may put it into your graveyard, then shuffle it, and if you have 7 or more cards in your graveyard, you may transform it. And if you transform it, you can add a blue to your mana pool, or pay 2 and a blue and tap. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them and put it into your hand.
Notably, that is a legendary land.
Yes. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure what people run this in, honestly. I think that Gift of God Pharaoh, you can throw things in graveyard with this would be really nice, and then, it rewards you for having stuff in your graveyard.
Yeah.
And you can obviously use this for card search.
I'm thinking modern for Storm that could see some play potential.
Oh, it has a ton of
mod
mod potential, or Commander too. I have for my black and blue zombies.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good card because you're always, you're searching for your combo pieces for one thing, but discarding's pretty much an advantage.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I'm working. Well, you said you were working on a treasure deck too.
Oh yeah, I was working on a treasure deck. Most of the treasure deck builds that I saw focus heavily on the Revel in Riches, and
I mean, that card was printed. People are gonna brew with it.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, just
yeah.
looking at it, it's like,
Yeah.
an alternate win condition
But,
can do.
I'm blanking on a bunch of names right now. But the automotive, or not automotive.
Automotive.
It's totally a Ford factory. It's
The
was
marionette person?
No, it's from Aether Revolt. It's the blue enchantment. You can copy an artifact
automated
assembly or something
yeah.
like that. Yeah, you can
The mythic?
copy your artifact. It's a mythic. It's only about
$3 or $4.
$3 or $4. No, it's about $3 or $4 now. So I mean, I can see it going up. So get a copy now before it does, because I can see it as a big part. Because the thing is, it's the same thing as Revel in Riches, but better.
Yeah.
So it's a similar mana cost, and then also I think it's only like 6 instead of 10 artifacts of the same name.
You gonna run that counter spell? That
Spell Swindle?
generates you, yeah.
Spell Swindle's nice because it's kind of a high costing, but if you're...
You can net out.
Oh, no,
gain
it's
some mana,
trust me,
yeah.
the card's gone up in price. If you have it, you use it.
Okay.
But to be honest with you, we've had, 3 boxes? 4
Yeah.
boxes?
I've got 2 of them.
Yeah, Jimmy pulled 2. I pulled 0. I don't know how many John pulled.
I
in here
pulled
for this
0.
box. Patrick didn't buy a box, so
you
he
didn't
obviously
buy
pulled
any.
none.
Oh, damn.
But yeah, that's definitely pretty cool, because whatever you counter, you get that many treasure tokens depending on its mana cost, I'm pretty sure is what it said.
Yeah.
But-
Standard Aetherborn. That's going to be
Yeah.
It's going to be huge.
One route I didn't see people taking, though, was there is a common artifact.
The sword
It's the sword.
that
But,
generates treasure.
yeah, I need to see if I can find that, if it's even in here.
You're not in our recording studio, but literally instead of like chairs and some coffee tables, we just have stacks of cards.
We're
God.
sitting on
It's just
cards right
yeah,
now.
I'm sitting on Scars of Mirrodin. Yeah, this is all Scars of Mirrodin cards. They're nice and reliable. They're firm. They got Metalcraft.
Yeah, I only sit on Black Lotuses.
There it is.
I burned that chair. I'm sorry.
It's called Prying Blade. Yeah, it's a one drop.
Prying Blade.
Yeah, totally.
Whoa.
I mean, we don't have sources right in front of us, but we like to look through cards. We're trying to do this from memory, but yeah.
Who are you?
We're pretty smart.
What
Yeah,
are
we're
we
pretty freaking
doing?
smart. Yeah, it's a
Chocolate.
1, equip 2, and you can totally give a creature +1/+0, or no, just +1, no 0. And whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, create a colorless treasure artifact token with tap, sacrifice this artifact, add a mana, whatever color. But people are like, oh, well, what if you can't get through to him? Well, that's why I run 4
The unblockable Merfolk.
unblockables of the Merfolk, which are 2-drop, 1/1s, and then I run 4 1-drop unblockables from Amonkhet, the Nagas. They're 1/2 unblockables for 1.
They sure are.
So you got 8 unblockable creatures that you can...
Wait, you just said 4 and 2. That's 6. Where's the other 2 coming from?
No, it's
2 different
a 2-drop.
cards.
It's a 2-drop.
It's a 2-drop.
Stop trying to screw with me.
They're both 2-drops.
No, it isn't. The
Naga is
the
not
Nagas
a
are
2-drop?
1/2 unblockable. It's a 1-drop. It's my favorite card from Amonkhet, honestly. It's
Really?
neat. Yeah. Yeah, because the whole main unblockable dude that they had before was that Merfolk, I think.
Yeah.
Tide, what's it called?
It's the Harbinger of the Tide, the Groper of the Tides, Finagler of Noodles.
Yeah, he's just a 1-drop,
I love
unblockable,
noodles.
but this one has a little bit more defense, which is kind of cool. Yeah. But yeah, I haven't seen anyone go that route where they're trying to aggro their way in. I mean, of course, they're removable, but there's so many of them. I think it could work.
Yeah.
So that would be my take on that, to be honest. And then also you can have the puppeteer from Kaladesh.
Were you not honest before? Because it seems like you're just being honest all the time, except for certain parts.
I'm super honest, you guys.
Yeah, I lied about Aetherborn being a huge part of the meta. I'm the only one doing that.
we try to be different with our standard builds. We make things interesting.
Yeah, we'll record us.
Because
play
Jimmy,
testing
we're
some
gonna be
stuff.
doing that in the future. We're gonna be I guess we're gonna call it standard showdown between us.
What if Wizard sues us?
Standard show up.
Standard finagling.
Leave in the comments below which we call it.
Contemporary tomfoolery.
All right, we're all, okay.
Standard
Right now, we're starting at Jimmy. One solid.
We're starting at Jimmy? We're starting at me?
Starting at Jimmy. We're starting with you.
Okay.
All right, you gotta give us
My
your best name. Your best name for a standard showdown. That's not standard showdown. Please don't sue us. Hashtag we're sorry.
Oh, whoa. Most recent 6-set tomfoolery. That's how many sets are in standard.
I feel like that's too long for a YouTube video.
Fine. Shut up and give me your money.
Okay.
No, I don't know.
Jimmy says.
Yeah, come back to me. I
Jimmy
need to
says,
rack my mind.
Jimmy wants to call it monetization for the win.
Monetization for the win.
All right, Patrick, your turn.
Gut 'em and cut 'em.
That makes no
There's
sense.
no guns. Actually, there's cannons.
I said gut 'em.
Got them?
Yeah, like you're gutting somebody, but really it's cut 'em and you gut 'em. You can call it either way.
I don't understand.
I just want to stab somebody. Okay, I don't play Magic.
Oh my god, I'm sorry.
Jimmy,
May God
you're
have
first on
mercy
the
my
list.
soul.
Part of the crew,
Do
part of
it.
the ship.
Please. Kill me.
We just call it totally basic showdown.
Yeah. It's high noon.
This was very
It's high noon.
It's high noon.
This was very
It's a showdown.
anticlimactic for like names. We are not good in the creativity department, at least for me.
I need to be able to sit and reflect on
Jimmy,
myself.
what he's really
I
saying
need to
is
go to my dark place.
he
He
needs
hasn't had enough to
alcohol.
drink.
He hasn't had alcohol today.
I've had coffee. I only had half a pot of coffee. I'm cutting back on my coffee. So.
Oh, man.
Yeah, great.
I'm only 20% of a human being right now.
Oh, we're going to digress from the whole Magic the Gathering thing and talk about personal health.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Jimmy, you should probably.
I don't know if you've seen the card, the Heart of Yeheni, but literally that black ichor is just my heart, and that's coffee. And after I drink enough coffee and get enough energy counters, I take an extra turn.
Yeah.
You want to know what taking an extra turn is in real life? No, you don't.
Yeah,
I've seen some shit.
I bought some of that brown or that brown sugar coffee cake type of Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah,
good.
I brewed that. My mom looked at the bag. She's like, "Oh, this is artificially flavored." I'm like, "I'm artificially concerned." And I walked away and enjoyed that coffee. But I think that's about going to wrap it up. It's a little shorter this time, but yeah, we're going to have some cool content to come. We're getting a new camera.
Yeah.
We're getting a new camera, so we're going to have overhead games now.
I want to draft.
And we're going to draft probably starting of the next month.
Yes.
Probably next
when
month.
the budget replenishes.
I'm just glad we have a budget. Glad we got some finance.
We blew the
people
budget.
here.
We went over.
Yeah.
We blew the budget within a week.
Day
Love
one of
it.
there being a budget, the budget was laid waste.
I'm sorry, you guys. I was supposed to be treasurer, but I spent it all on Gatecrash.
Oh,
it's going to be
no.
huge. It's going to skyrocket in price.
Whoa, I totally got Master of Cruelties. He's up to like $8-9 now. Actually, he's over 10, I think.
Really?
Yeah, he's a good demon.
He's a good demon.
Any dude that's just like, I have to attack alone, but I've got first strike death touch, and if I poke your opponent, their life total is just 1.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty tasty.
Is he a legendary creature?
No.
Oh, he's not. I was about to say, I'm a commander now. Oh,
That'd be
hate
too
all-
good.
I hate all of you. All right, well, we're going to wrap this up. You guys, like and subscribe if you haven't.
Yeah, hit that bell icon to get notified of when we post, because I really watch the videos for at least the first half hour, so I'll comment back. I'll give you the kissy face.
And if you watch this video somewhat on time, there's a giveaway going on.
A giveaway.
Right now.
That's great.
Oh, yeah, you get a free fat pack provided by Jimmy in his bank account. Oh, he spent so much money.
It's called a bundle.
He skipped 10 meals for this.
I haven't eaten in days.
Oh, God.
Make sure you watch our other videos on Ixalan.
Also, watch our box openings if you haven't, because you get to see what we pulled, and we're going to be making weird standard decks out of them, and we're going to be playing with those standard decks in the future.
Because we're
Here in
different.
the next week.
We won't be a part of their system. We took the cards
saying
and
we're
we threw
different?
them on the ground.
We are very different. We roll
Yeah.
up to the scene with our ceilings.
We're so different. We have already said we're going to sign off, and yet we have yet to sign
I
off.
don't care. You
I
can't
don't-
stop me.
I don't want to leave.
Just keep listening.
Keep talking. We need to fit another commercial in here.
Another commercial. Oh.
Ready, commercial. 3, 2, 1.
I'm not gonna add
No.
a commercial. I'm not gonna give you that.
Pranked.
Well, we'll see you guys later.
But wait, Patrick. Out of all of the different creatures and
Life of the
card
Sky
types,
Dragon.
now that appear on Ixalan, which one do you identify the most? We got dinosaurs, merfolk, vampires, humans,
Ooh.
dinosaurs again.
It would be between the dinosaurs and the vampires. Vampires,
You've got trilobites. Trilobite is an option.
I don't know what that is, so no.
What?
I'm staying ignorant. And so vampires, if I'm a token. Do I get to be a token in my life? Because then that's when I want to be a vampire. If I'm actually nulling tactics face off, dinosaur.
You guys both lose. Chupacabra. The end. See you guys.
Whoa.